You know, when they did away with the idea of retirement, they didn't just do away with the idea of retirement and pensions and all this other stuff that you'd get as far as benefits with a job. Like in hindsight, when you really do think about it, they did away with the idea of fulfilling rest, really. Because, like, think about it. What happens when you've worked so hard? Like, I'm trying to picture, like, all right, well, what if I was 60 years old and I've did this long, long journey of work? You know what I mean? Either it was fulfilling, either it was soul crippling, but, like, the overall idea of rest is just the idea of retirement. You know what I mean? Naturally. You know what I mean? When you're 60 or 70, you know what I mean? And even in the Bible, it says that God rested on the seventh day. So even he had rest after his long span of work. You know what I mean? So it's like to have that eternal rest, it's a God given sentiment. You know what I mean? It's a God given sentiment. And it's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? It's a center of completion. You know what I mean? To retire, to have that eternal rest while you're human. And to do away with that is just it's criminal to me. It's ultimately criminal. Because think about it. You're doing away with rest of grandparents, of maybe even great grandparents even if they see that. But it's just like that's ultimately what you're sacrificing here as an elite or as whatever. You know what I mean? Like this is what is going on, and it's so sad to see, because rest is a divine right. It's a God-given sentiment. You know what I mean? And America used to have the foundations of a God-given sentiment. That's why we get up and say the Pledge of Allegiance every day, under one nation, under God. You know, what I mean, when I was a kid and I used to say the Pledge of Allegiance every day, I used to get up. I used to always make sure I'd get up and do it. Always, always. I would never forget. I would never try and skirt it. I would always make sure I'd pay respects, because it's a God-given right to be here. It's a God-given right, and it's a beautiful right. It's a beautiful right. To have kids, to have grandkids, to die one day in peace, in liberation, in true beauty and completion of life. That is God given divinity, and you can't get rid of it. I don't want to sound corny, I don't want to sound cheesy. I just really want to bury the hatchet as to what eternal rest looks like. It's not just about going to sleep and turning the lights off. It's about admiring your handiwork and what you've completed. To see your kids, to see your creation, to see your divine right unfold before your eyes, before you close them. That's the ultimate meaning of what rest truly is. So you ever sleep so much and it's just not enough? Or you ever just put yourself away to retirement, away from something, and it's just not enough? That's why. Because you're not resting. You're delaying. You know? So it seems like the more that we strive away from God, I hate to sound like that guy, but it's the truth. The more that we derive from the truth, the more life just starts to feel distorted. Like this unfinished, untapped version of what could be. It's like you're looking between a glass bottle trying to understand what you're looking at. You know what I mean? your vision's not fully focused. And that's the main sentiment that I don't see existing in the future is true rest. True rest from liberated work, from divine sentiment. You know what I mean? From fulfillment. From fulfillment. Sorry, I can't speak. But like the idea of true spirituality comes from hard work. No one can deny that. But every tree must bear fruit. You know what I mean? Every tree must bear fruit. And if it doesn't, then it's not a tree. You know what I mean? We all bear fruit. We all bear fruit in one way, shape, or another. You know? And like I said, it's got to start at the root. It's just sad. It's sad seeing all this just collapse right in front of your face. You know what I mean? Like, especially within a liberated system that was supposed to garnish um, freedom, liberty, truth, free will. You know what I mean? Like the deep shit. The deep stuff that you don't usually get from just the physical world. The physical. You know what I mean? It's more of what's on in the internal that is more damaging. And it seems like the world just wants to slowly do away with those God-given sentiments. That's propelled humanity more than forward. More than forward. You know what I mean? It's become something short of just benefits now. You know what I mean? It's become something sort of just uh watered down uh wasted potential. You know what I mean? You see somebody who could retire and should be getting more than they're actually getting, and it just seems like the biggest kick in the spine you could ever take, honestly. And you try to make sense of that and you can't. You can't. And I think that's like the root reason as to why nothing really feels fulfilling in this life anymore. Because back then things used to mean something. When you would complete something, you felt this definitive uh, completion overcome throughout your body. Like true success. You know? True valor. That's the point. Having kids, raising a family, having a wife, that's all part of that too. But they slowly did away with it. They slowly did away with that divine right. It's internal. They took that and they made it physical. They made it a physical thing. And physicality in a world like this isn't an eternal sentiment. So it becomes temporary. It becomes tokenized. It becomes liberated to something unrecognizable. You know what I mean? And that's why we have things that look like other things that aren't those things. You know what I mean? And then we try to slowly derive from it until it's unnoticeable. And then something new before you know it. You know what I mean? That's what happens. That's what happens. And ultimately, it's the death of a civilization. Ultimately, that becomes the death of a civilization as you know it. And I've seen this since I was 16 years old. I knew it. I could see it. I could see it. It didn't take much. And then sooner or later, it tried to come from my eternal soul. It tried to take out my soul. Because of my past, in my past, I used to be suicidal. And I used to want to self destruct. And I used to be on the self destructive path. But then ultimately, I did find that divinity, that eternal, internal uh, liberation that you solely need from the physical world. You know what I mean? It can become damaging. It can become something unrecognizable. Just like I was saying previously in this video. And that's what I'm telling you guys about. It's not about the external. It's about the internal. Heaven is a place from within, but given from a divine right. You know what I mean? So it's like, and that plugs into retirement. What you've done entirely is a culmination of everything that you've been put through in trial and tribulation. If that's no more, then there's no sentiment. And a world without sentiment is a lifeless one, to be honest with you. It's a lifeless one. You know? And I refuse to be lifeless. I refuse to be soulless. I refuse to be empty. I refuse. You know what I mean? And after when I found that divine right within me, it liberated me to a point of no return in this world. Almost to a point where I become so unrecognizable. To a point where I could show up and you'd be like, wow, you're not the person I met like years ago. You know what I mean? That's what the Holy Spirit does to somebody. That's what it does. It levels out the inside. And it strengthens your character. And it narrows your divinative purpose. You know what I mean? It's alignment. It's completion. Before the separation of the physical. And I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. It's true. You can meditate on it. You can sleep on it. It's a state of frequency that you operate on. And it comes from a divinative strength that can't be broken. That's why they say, put on the breastplate of Christ, put on the shield, put on this, put on that, because it's literal armor of the divine, straightening yourself. Completion. Because there's a lot in this world that's so unfulfilling, so draining. You know what I mean? There's a lot in this world that's so temporary, to say the least. You know what I mean? And me, I fell into those strongholds. Even when I was in my younger teens. I fell into those strongholds not knowing. Not knowing. You know what I mean? And shit, if I had kids, this is what I'd be telling them too. You know what I mean? If I ever have them. I mean, they say that we're in the end times right now. So I don't know if I will have kids, but that's the overall message. You know what I mean? Every single thing you do, whether it be going to the store, whether it be helping somebody out, whether it be doing something, you're doing it because it's a good thing to do. And it's the the completion, the alignment of the character, of the spirit. It's who you are. You know what I mean? It's who you are. Without pride. Because obviously we all know what pride does to the soul. Pride is narcissistic. Pride wants war. Pride doesn't admit when they're wrong. Pride is insufficient. Pride is temporary. You know? It's not pride you're looking for. It's purpose. It's not pleasure you're looking for. It's divinity. It's serenity that you're chasing. That's what you need. And somewhere along the lines in this physical realm, uh, the demons seen that and they exercised it to no end because they drew it out into the physical world. So that's what happened. That's why everything today doesn't seem fulfilling anymore, because it's become too materialistic. You can't take something eternal and make it materialistic. Like marriage, for example. Marriage is supposed to be this sacred bond between man and woman, right? And with that bondage comes a sacred holiness. So much so that you split apart from your family. So much so that you split apart from the family that you've had previously and you make your own because it becomes a divine alignment, right? So if you marry without God, your marriage is temporary. If you do a job without God, that's temporary. If you do a holy mission without God, it becomes a prideful purpose. You lose self-worth. It becomes minimalistic. You see what I'm trying to say here, guys? If you don't put a cap on the marker dries out. The cap happens to be at the top of the marker. The cap is divinative, so the marker doesn't dry out. If you take the cap off the marker, it dries out. It's done. You can't use it anymore. And this marker colors such a beautiful color because the cap is on it. Same thing with the human. You need that divinative right. You need the divinative right, because without this dries out. You know what I mean? So the cap on the marker, it's alignment, it's completion. You know what I mean? Kind of a terrible analogy to a marker and the Holy Spirit, but it's true. There's something in this world that's eternal, that is powerful, untapped. You know what I mean? Sacred. It plugs into your marriage. It plugs into your kids. It plugs into your future. You know what I mean? If you don't have those things, nothing in this material world means nothing. That's why a lot of rich people commit suicide. They have everything. You know what I mean? Their demons exercise the shit out of them. It becomes pride. And they fall. They fall. It's true. Spirituality. You need it. And holy spirituality. Most important. There's a lot in this life that has the illusion of fulfillment. I found that out with my jobs, with my relationships with people, with the internet, even. Like with many things in this physical realm. I've come to realization that there's more to it than just the physical. There's more to it than that. And once you realize that, you're able to tap into a power that can't be corrupted. You know what I mean? It's a beautiful sentiment to live upon and to be existent of. Honestly, it's a gift. It's a gift from God, if anything. And it's not a gift that just anybody gets. You know what I mean? The man sacrificed himself for it. Jesus Christ, man. The fucking man. Pardon my language. But it's the truth. The man. His blood paid your way. You know what I mean? That means something. If he didn't do that, none of this would matter. None of it. Not family. Not friends. Not longevity. None of it. That's why we don't live forever, people. That's why we eventually depart from the world. Because eventually your body becomes completion. You become completion itself. That's why his name still escapes me, but that artist, he said, death is completion. It's completion of the spirit, of the soul, of the mind. And once you have that, and once you've lived a life of fulfilling holy alignment and you depart from the world, that is beautiful. That's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? And it's sad too because the people that I met in my life, like even down to my own grandmother, she didn't have it easy. You know what I mean? My grandfather cheated on her. He cheated. Fucked her up. It fucked her up. You know what I mean? But she found the divine. She found the divine. She locked in, as it were. You know what I mean? She became something more. So much so that my stepdad seen it. One day he was sleeping, or something happened to him, and then he swore he seen my grandmother. She was in all white. She was in completion. She was in divine alignment. You know what I mean? She was powerful. Man, it gets me so hype. You know what I mean? It was divine. It was godly. It was eternal. It was inevitable. It was fucking inevitable, baby. That's what I'm talking about. The real shit. You know what I mean? So much so that death came and stopped you. It's fucking empowering. I tell you. It's fucking amazing. You know what I mean? And that's why the demons of this world don't like that shit. They don't like that shit. Because number one, they can't stop it. And number two, it's just too much for them. It's like a bright light to the eyes. You know what I mean? And I know I'm getting a little overzealous with this shit, but it's the fucking truth, man. The divine. You can't kill the divine. You can't. You know? So then I ask you, what's your purpose? Find it. Lock in with it. It's not a physical thing, you guys. It's not a physical thing. It's eternal. It's in the soul. And there's a lot that can kill it in this world. There's a lot that can kill your soul in this world. So make sure you guard it with everything you got. I know this video kind of went on longer than I needed it to, but it's just the main mission here. Don't forget it. Even sometimes I do. I forget it a lot. But ever since all this shit's been hitting the fan, I've been locking in for a long time now. I've been locking in for months because my life is going in a downward spiral. It's been for a long time. But now I'm learning to lock into the divine because I know I won't be here forever. I won't. That is a guarantee. One day I will depart from this world. So I need to make sure that I'm divine aligned with myself. Because when you align definitively, you're able to become the definitive completion of yourself. You're able to lock in eternally. So with that being said, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments. Am I just crazy? Am I fucking nuts? Or is there something more in this world? Is there something to chase? Something to value? Sentiment. Divine sentiment. You know what I mean? From the physical world. But with that being said, I'll see you in the next one.